Okay, this one is for the socialists. I've been meaning to do this video for a little while. I'm going to be talking about a couple things, but just real quick here, I want to talk about John Rockefeller's quote about owning nothing and controlling everything. Just basically, what did he mean by that? And hopefully this video gives you a little bit of insight on the way that the elite do things, and how they use their laws to their own benefit and to the enslavement of everybody else. But the reason I bring up socialism is because the socialists, and there is a huge socialist movement today, it's everywhere. The socialist movement is funded by these people, these Rockefeller types, and they aren't in the slightest bit worried about you or me taking any of their money. Not at all. So I want to read a quote. This is alleged to have been a quote by Colonel Edward Mandell House, and he allegedly said this to President Wilson in 1912. Quote, "Very soon, every American will be required to register his biological property, his body, in a national system designed to keep track of the people that will operate under the ancient system of the pledge. By such methodology, we can compel people to submit to our agenda, which will affect our security as a chargeback for our fiat paper currency. Every American will be forced to register or suffer being able to work and earn a living. They will be our chattel, and we will hold the security interest over them forever, by operation of the law merchant under the scheme of secured transactions. Americans, by unknowingly or unwittingly delivering the bills of lading to us, will be rendered insolvent and bankrupt, forever to remain economic slaves through taxation secured by their pledges. They will be stripped of their rights and given a commercial value designed to make us a profit, and they will be none the wiser, for not one man in a million could ever figure out our plans, and if by accident one or two should figure it out, we have in our arsenal plausible deniability. After all, this is the only logical way to fund government, by floating liens and debt to the registrants in the form of benefits and privileges. This will inevitably reap to us huge profits beyond our wildest expectations, and leave every American a contributor to this fraud, which we will call social insurance, or what they call social security today, without realizing it. Every American will insure us for any loss we may incur, and in this manner every American will unknowingly be our servant, however begrudgingly. The people will become helpless and without any hope for their redemption, and we will employ the high office of the president of our dummy corporation to foment this plot against America," unquote. Now, like I said, I'm not really sure if he actually said that. The literature that I'm reading from does say that he was alleged to say that, but if he did say that, it pretty much completely sums up the government today and the situation that we're in with being surety for the debt, and that's the way that the elite do things. Okay, so I'm gonna go here to a video that was made by content creator Yusef L, and it's a video on trusts. It's called "Why You Need a Private Trust." Carlton Weiss. Carlton Weiss is a law firm who gives a lot of advice to just regular people, especially people who present themselves in court and whatnot. And it's a very good video, but the topic of the video has more to do with like divorce and how a guy protected all his assets and his belongings and stuff, and his house and his cars and all that in a trust. And his wife divorced him, and he went through this process, and It's a very good video. Check it out. But that's not what the end of the clip. The clip at the end of the video is actually from another documentary, and I'll link to that. I'll link to this video, and I'll link to the documentary that he shows at the end. But I'm just going to play that little part at the end for you, and you'll totally understand what's going on. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later.
I remember one day I was with a certain attorney friend of mine. He was close enough friend that I could be very personal with him. And he wasn't charging me by the minute or by the hour. We were just chatting. And I mentioned some of the things that I had learned in those seminars out in the Bahamas. And I said, do you do these things? Do you use this? Do you use this? And I'll name them in a moment. And I named some of these things. And he sat there and he wouldn't answer me. And I said, does your Congress friend know about this? And he wouldn't answer me. I even asked a judge one time about some of these things, and he wouldn't answer me. So this attorney friend, finally, when I got through going over a number of things and asking questions and he refused to answer, he looked square at me, and I'll never forget, it was kind of a puzzled look on his face, and he said, Chaplain, how do you know all this? And I told him where I learned it, when I lived with the elite. And then I said, okay, now, be honest with me. Do you know about these things? Yeah. I said, do you use these things? Yeah. I said, do you own your airplane? No. Do you fly in it? Yeah. Do you own your house? No. Will your children pay any inheritance tax when you die? No. Folks, you must understand how the elite think. They have been taught to think in terms of the laws that they have written for the enslavement of you. The laws are made for the elite. What Congress passes is for their benefit. Their attorneys write the laws. The congressmen never read them. And if some of the congressmen don't want to pass the bills vote for the bills because they're afraid that their constituents, will find out about it, the elite have a way, which I'll tell you about in a moment or two, of stepping in and getting them to vote for that bill. Let me go back again to the word control. The elite, the younger elite, are taught, and I heard them explain it in detail in these seminars, and I heard it from the elite themselves when I lived with them. They're taught never to own the coat on their back. Never own their house, never own their automobile, never own their penthouse where their business is. Never own their yacht, and never own their jet aircraft. And this one, I almost hesitate, but I have to give it. I've waited 35 years to never have any income. Did you hear that? They fly in that jet, but they don't own it. They drive that automobile, but it's owned in a trust, or their company supplies it to them. So when it comes down to the end, here it is. You've heard it. You've heard it all over the news lately. Tax the rich. Wall Street protest. I look at what's happening in the country and I say, if only you knew what I know. If you had the slightest idea what the elite, well, here it goes. The elite are not the slightest worried about a bill being passed to tax the rich. They're sitting back laughing at you. Why? They don't have anything to be taxed. Oh, you say, I never thought about that. They don't own that jet. They don't own that automobile. They don't own that penthouse. They just put that coat on every morning. They don't own it. They are taught to control everything and own nothing.